Nigeria receives $819 million grant to fight malaria, tuberculosis and AIDS. National Economic Council to review policy to ensure accountability. And Lagos State starts COVID-19 vaccine rollout. Glad to have you here on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Poor electricity supply, deplorable road infrastructure and multiple taxations are some of the challenges impeding the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. This is a thrust of the report to the National Economic Council (NEC) by the Special Advisor to the President on Ease of Doing Business, Jumoke Oduwole, during the virtual meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The meeting was presided by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. TV360's Abisola Adebayo reports.
It's a virtual National Economic Council meeting, and the Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, unveils the government's plans to formulate a monitoring and evaluation policy on prudent public spending. Governor Sule says this is to strengthen accountability, while the policy would also provide an independent objective assessment of the merit of public policy strategies, programs, as well as projects.
Is to establish monitoring and evaluation as a source of credible information so as to guide government decision, planning, resource allocation and expenditure, to strengthen accountability and feedback by the government to Nigerians, to provide effective guide for the MDAs for the conduct of the M&E function. The policy will also actually enhance coordination of monitoring and evaluation processes within Nigerian public sector for standardization in practice of the M&E.
Special Advisor to the President on Ease of Doing Business, Jumoke Oduwole, says small businesses in the country are facing hard times as a result of poor infrastructure. She says the report was a peer-reviewed document that would enable state governments to see how they are doing in comparison with other states in providing a conducive business environment.
Every challenge is an opportunity to be fixed in form of a reform to come to bear. So some of the key opportunities for change that were identified have been collated, and we're going to work with state governments starting from April to create bespoke implementation roadmaps that will be implemented immediately.
Spokesperson of the Vice President, Laolu Akonde, says the AstraZeneca vaccine has been successfully distributed to all the states and vaccination is going on smoothly.
According to the NPDHC, all states of the Federation have received their vaccines except Kogi State. And then we have reports that the vaccination application has been launched in most of the states. And also there's a plan to have the ICPC co-opted into the vaccine accountability to ensure that things are done properly and transparently.
State governments are expected to domesticate the National Monitoring and Evaluation Policy for effective performance tracking as well as continuous monitoring. Abisola Adebayo, TV360, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari says as far as Libya remains unstable, illegal arms and ammunition would continue to flow in the Sahel region of the African continent. The president made a remark on Thursday at State House in Abuja while receiving in farewell audience the outgoing special representative of the United Nations Secretary General and head of the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, Mohammed Ibn Chambers. President Buhari described Chambers, who spent many years in Nigeria in different capacities, from ECOWAS to UN, as a man of integrity and hard work. He also wished him well in his future endeavors. The outgoing special representative thanked President Buhari for support, explaining that the country would continue to play a leadership role on the continent. Nigeria and the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria have launched 3 new grants to tackle HIV, tuberculosis, malaria and support health systems strengthening programs. President Muhammadu Buhari launched the $890 million grants covering the 2021 to 2023 implementation period at a virtual event held in Abuja. TV360's Bisola Adebayo reports.
Nigeria's fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria is costing the country a lot, with the three diseases being the deadliest. Nigeria is, however, getting a helping hand to fight these diseases with a donation of $890 million from the Global Fund. The president assures donor agencies and development partners of judicious use of the grant, adding that it would complement investments in the health sector.
My appreciation on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria to the Global Fund for your strong partnership with us in the fight against HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. This partnership dates back to the year 2002 and has since then contributed immensely to save lives, especially of women and children. Over the last 2 decades, our joint efforts with the Global Fund, the United States government, the United Nations, and other development partners.
Also, the Executive Director, Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB and Malaria, and the Deputy Chief of Mission, U.S. Embassy in Nigeria, described Nigeria's recent contribution to the Global Fund as an important commitment to end all three diseases.
The U.S. President's Emergency Plan for HIV Relief, PEPFAR, is proud of our close and productive relationship with the Global Fund. We are taking it to the next level with an alignment of our respective HIV resources behind the Ministry of Health and the National AIDS Control Agency. The national alignment, led by the government, maximizes the comparative advantage of each donor, thereby eliminating inefficiencies and increasing the transparency and effectiveness of our collective efforts.
I would note that despite the release of part of the funding to the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the National Health Insurance Scheme and the state, basic health services delivery, and more specifically, malaria, tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS services remain heavily dependent on donor funding.
President Muhammadu Buhari has subsequently directed the Minister of Health, Osage Ehanire, to ensure judicious use of the grant and set up an accountability framework to monitor the use of the fund. Bisola Adebayo, TV360, Abuja.
The Lagos State government has commenced the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine at designated venues in the state. According to the plan set out by the government, frontline workers are at the top of the pyramid to receive the vaccine. TV360 Simisola Adigo monitored the exercise at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital and the Primary Healthcare Center in Oregon.
Nigeria has joined other countries in swift response to administer the AstraZeneca vaccine on its citizens. With the distribution of the vaccine to all states, frontline workers are of major priority in first phase at the moment, and the turnout so far has been impressive.
Vaccination is an age-old strategy that has been very successful and very useful in changing the narrative when we talk about infectious diseases. So definitely it's something that should be welcomed with open arms. Now, wherever you go to, if you have some underlying medical conditions and you notify those who will be vaccinating, they'll be able to assess and determine, whether you should take it or not. But we know the impact of this COVID-19. It's been devastating. So many deaths, so many people sick. A lot of people have lost their jobs. It's essentially interrupted the global economy. So having a vaccine, which, as I said before, is an age-old strategy that's been very successful in the prevention and control of infectious diseases. I think we're very lucky to have COVID-19 vaccine now.
We can conclude really that the benefits would outweigh the risks. So that's why we would advise that everybody should still take the vaccine so that at least we're protected. If we're able to get enough people vaccinated, then we can achieve some herd immunity, and hopefully then we can get rid of COVID and have to stop wearing our masks, but we will not stop washing our hands, because that will also protect us from other diseases as well.
Despite the various assumptions surrounding the vaccine, Lagos State government has assured Nigerians that getting vaccinated poses no danger whatsoever, while urging Nigerians to do likewise in order to achieve herd immunity. Recipients of the AstraZeneca vaccine said the process is seamless and straightforward, adding that this decision is a step in the right direction to see an end to the coronavirus pandemic.
Well, let me say I'd earlier tested positive, so I'm interested in making sure that I don't have a repeat, boosting my immunity. So that's why I came in. Well, the COVID is real, so people should come in, take the vaccine to prevent being infected, or when they get infected, so that the impact is not debilitating.
More doses of the vaccine are still expected soon in the country. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
At the last Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, unveiled federal government's plan to spend $1.5 billion to revamp the Port Harcourt refinery. According to the minister, the rehabilitation of the refinery will be done in 3 phases of 18, 24 and 44 months. Silva added that funds for the rehabilitation of the refinery are available from NNPC, internally generated revenue, the budget and debt funding rather. However, the announcement did not sit well with some sector experts who believe that federal government's continuous investment in refineries have not yielded any report. This report has the details. The decision by the federal government to spend $1.5 billion on the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery has been met with mixed reactions. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, who made the announcement on Wednesday at the 38th Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, explained that funds will be sourced from the NNPC, internally generated revenue, the budget and debt funding.
The Ministry of Petroleum Resources presented a memo on the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt Refinery for the sum of $1.5 billion, and that memo was $1.5 billion, and it was approved by Council today. So we're happy to announce that the rehabilitation of Port Harcourt Refinery will commence forthwith.
But why does the notion of more rehabilitation of refineries raise eyebrows amongst industry experts? In 2019, the Nigerian Natural Resource Charter, NNRC, published a report titled Reducing Losses from Refineries Operations. In the report, it was revealed that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, reportedly spent a whopping $396.33 million between 2013 and 2017 to carry out repair works on 3 of its non-functioning refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri and Kaduna. The report also indicated that the NNPC spent 276.872 billion naira on the operating expenses of the refineries between 2015 and 2018. Still, these refineries are not in active operation and contribute less than 10% to the nation's GDP. These are the major reasons why industry experts believe the federal government's rehabilitation plan is a waste of scarce resources.
This is not the time to make that kind of decision, considering the fact that we have a refinery that is coming up any moment from now, and we need to do everything to encourage that refinery to take off and take off well. Instead of using that kind of money to repair our refinery, we need to actually push it into any other major sector of this economy in order to stimulate that sector. Otherwise, that is not a priority for us to encounter right now. So I belong to that school of thought that says we shouldn't spend that kind of money on refinery.
Despite these oppositions, some experts believe that the plan to revamp the Port Harcourt refinery is the right move in the right direction.
I am happy that the Nigerian economic managers and leaders have had a rethink and decided to come back from the economic prodigalism that we have embarked on. Because for a very long time, we were being misled by people I can best describe as intellectual economic vampires and betrayers. It's very clear and simple. We have always said it. Nairanization of the downstream sector of the Nigerian oil and gas is what will bring us out of the woods.
Although all stakeholders agree that the need for local refinery is key to economic recovery, the introduction of private refineries into a sector long dominated by government is long overdue. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News. A coalition of youth organizations has called on Governor Yahaya Bello of Kogi State to take the responsibility of leading Nigerians come 2023. Leader of the coalition, Shuaibu Mohammed, made his call at a news conference today in Abuja. He described the governor as a detribalized Nigerian who would stamp out nepotism from the country if elected. Mohammed expressed optimism that Governor Bello, being a young man, would engage women and youths in governance and make them critical stakeholders in the affairs of the country if elected.
Governor Bello is definitely going to be a Nigerian leader that will not take action or do something solely because he wants to play to the gallery. While some of his colleague governors were economical with facts, especially with regards to the presence of COVID-19 in their states, Governor Bello refused to play politics with people's lives, and the outcome is there for all to see. Many people who knew Kogi State and its terrain can attest to the transformation which has taken place since Yahaya Bello came on board in 2016. For a state infamously regarded as a hub of kidnapping and other violent skirmish, nobody would have believed that Governor Yahaya Bello will, through his magic wands, permanently address insecurity and crime in the confluent state in just 4 years before his re-election for a second term in 2019. For this above-mentioned unraveled feat and many other germane reasons, we are hereby calling on Governor Yahaya Bello to quickly accept the genuine cause of many spirited bodies, patriotic Nigerians, patriotic individuals, and teeming Nigerian youths to contest for the 2023 presidential election.
We'll take a pause here, but still to come. European Union resumes distribution of Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. Welcome back. Well, let's take a recap of some of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari says as far as Libya remains unstable, illegal arms and ammunition will continue to flow in the Sahel region of the African continent. We also told you that the Lagos state government has commenced the administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine at designated venues in the state. According to the plan set out by the government, frontline workers are at the top of the pyramid to receive the vaccine. In case you missed any of our news bulletins, for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are at TV360 Online. Anti-COVID-19 stories and updates. Nearly a dozen European countries have resumed the use of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 shots on Friday, as the European Union's drug regulatory agency says the AstraZeneca vaccine does not increase the overall incidence of blood clots, and that the benefits of using it outweighs the possible risks. More than a dozen nations around the world had suspended their use of the vaccine over the past week following reports of blood clots reported by a number of persons. The World Health Organization on Thursday called on countries to continue using the vaccine and is due to release the results of its own review into the vaccine's safety on Friday. We take a break here and return with more stories and business. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Well, let's now join Abisola Adebayo for the latest in business and stock market.
Thank you very much, Folashade. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria injected $5.62 billion into the foreign exchange market in the fourth quarter of 2020 as part of efforts to ensure the stability of the naira. This was an increase of 1.25 billion naira from the $4.37 billion intervention in the economy by the banking regulator in the third quarter. The CBN disclosed this in its report on transactions in the foreign exchange market in fourth quarter of 2020. According to the Apex Bank, foreign exchange inflow into the economy improved following the bank's policy directive of November 30, 2020. The bank had directed the transfer of all diaspora remittances to the domiciliary accounts of the beneficiaries or payments of customers in foreign currency, as well as the closure of all Naira Ledger accounts opened specifically for the purpose of receiving IMTO with immediate effect. We'll take a break here and return with stock market review. Stay with us. A dead cat bounce. That's the word to describe the Nigerian stock market performance, and that is because the market returned to the negative territory at the close of this week's trading, which is today. The all-share index drifted lower by 1.37. The all-share index drifted lower by 1.37% to close at 38,382 index points, as against the 0.54% appreciation recorded previously. Similarly, the market capitalization also recorded a 279 billion naira loss as it closed at 20 trillion naira today, as you can see right here. Actually, all these losses is because investors resumed selling pressure on some high and medium capitalized equities ranging from financial services, healthcare sector, even industrial goods sector. That is why on our losers list for today, we have Lasaco, BUA Cement, Name-It, and Quartville on our losers list with a combined 5 naira 2 kobo loss. However, market breadth closed positive as Ikeja Hotel led 20 gainers against 11 losers. So Etana and UCAP and UBN completed our list of top 4 gainers today. Moving on now to our market summary. The market summary is that 290 million shares valued at 4 billion naira exchange hands in 4,311 deals, as you can see right here. I must say these are uncertain times for the equity market, but we'll continue to put our expectations high for a rebound in the new week. Moving on now to the global scene. On the foreign scene today, the FTSE, Dow Jones and Nikkei are all having a bad day. It's a bad market for the international equities, as you can see right here. The FTSE fell after opening on Friday as oil prices tumbled on signs of lower demand in China and renewed fears of lockdowns in Europe. So it's recording a 0.89 loss. The Dow Jones is not any better today as bank stocks dropped following the U.S. Federal Reserve's decision to let the exception of some bank leverage requirements expire. Japan stocks Nikkei also shed gains from previous session to close at 1.14% loss. That's all on Stock Market Review. It's back to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Bisola. Well, up next is Entertainment Report.
It's another big moment for Burna Boy, who is now the face of Afrobeats movement after winning the award for the Best Global Music Album at the 2021 Grammys. The African giant Burna Boy has made another great stride less than a week after winning his first ever Grammy Award. He has collaborated with Canadian singing superstar Justin Bieber to deliver the hit song Loved by You. The song is on Bieber's sixth album, Justice, which was released on Friday, March 19th, with Burna Boy's feature on track 14. Nigerian producer and Burna Boy's regular collaborator Larry Q is also listed as a producer on the record. Producers of The Voice Nigeria Season 3 have announced that the show will premiere on Saturday, 27th of March. The show features 4 stages of competition. The first begins with the blind auditions, then the knockouts, battlegrounds, and finally, the live performance show. The 4 season coaches of the season are Dare, Yemi Alade, Waje, and Fowles. The show will be hosted by award-winning TV host Nancy Sime, alongside popular honor personality and entrepreneur Toke Makiwa. The winning talent of The Voice Nigeria Season 3 will be walking away with a monetary reward, a brand new car, and an international recording contract. That is all that we have for you in the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment and now to sports. Europe's elite football league entered its quarter-final stage with draws held today for the last 8 teams. 3 English teams, 1 Spanish team, 2 German teams, 1 French team and 1 Portuguese team will be involved in the money-spinning stage of the competition. TV360's Simisola Adigun reviews what is at stake at the biggest club competition in the world.
From 32 teams struggling to make impacts in Europe, they are down to 8 teams vying for the prestigious Champions League trophy. Beyond the excitement and entertainment of the game that millions across the globe enjoy, what exactly is at stake for these 8 teams? 19 million euros. That is the price tag for whoever lifts the trophy at the end of the competition. Of course, this is a whooping sum that's really worth fighting for by Europe's elite clubs. The Champions League is quite interesting and rewarding at every stage. The reason every club struggles to get to the top. From the group stage to the top, every team is entitled to a prize money which increases as the team progresses.
It's money, that's the essence of football. That's why it is called professional football. It is because there is money. It is not amateur. It is where the big boys are. It is when you look, for example, when you look at the quality of display of soccer artistry and you look at the antecedents, the pedigree of the sides, you look at, in terms of money now, you put, should I say, you try and put monetary value to some of the players you see. They are the highest earning players.
The last 8 of the competition will see Manchester City lock horns with Borussia Dortmund. German champions Bayern Munich face French powerhouse PSG. Spanish giants Real Madrid battle English champions Liverpool, while Portuguese side Porto has a score to settle with Chelsea.
When you look at the last 8, you will agree with me that most of the clubs that have qualified to be in this particular rounds are the usual suspects, some of them, the Liverpools, the Real Madrid, the Bayern Munich, PSG, and the Porto. Oh, those are the guys that they've always been around and most of them have a shelf full of laurels and all that. So, and the fact that it is a money spinning competition, if you ask me now to look at the crystal balls to pick my last four, yeah, I would say Bayern, Manchester City, Liverpool, then maybe Porto.
The 8 teams have a date with history on 6th and 7th of April, when the first leg of the quarter-final will be played, while the second leg will be played on 13th and 14th of the same month. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
Well, it's a wrap on our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. I am Fola Shadi. Ogurinde.